my aids in the sink to make sure the bottles don't fall over, but also to make sure any mess I make is cleaned up. As I moved this over here carefully, the smell was lovely, so I'm very optimistic about this one. There are very, very fine bits of lees in there. You can't quite see it. I saw it as I was moving it. Perhaps it'll be more visible as we go through the process. Everything's been sanitised. I did that a little earlier, so we are ready to go. So there we see, quite a lot of lees there at the bottom, but that's fine. We've racked it, so if there's a little bit more, that will come off in the next week, and then we will move to bottling. So before we get to that point though, flavouring. A little taster from the bit I spilt in the jug. Another reason for putting the bottles in a jug. Very sour still, but that's, we've brought it right down, very dry. But also, you can tell, I think this one's going to be very promising. I could drink a little of that and be quite happy. I do prefer a few bubbles and a bit of sweetness. These are our flavourings for the apple pie flavoured third. And so what we have is a little bit of apple essence, a cinnamon stick. We're going to add a clove, 5 allspice berries and 1 cardamom pod. We're going to grate a touch of nutmeg and also add a drop of vanilla essence. So these are our flavourings for our apple pie flavoured cider. Clearly some of these things are going to be easier to add than the others, so I've actually decided to halve my cinnamon stick because it was a bit of a monster cinnamon stick. So that's the first to go in. The single clove, the green cardamom seed, and the 5 allspice berries. This is my grated nutmeg. Just grated a little bit of that. I wasn't sure how much to use. I've probably used about 1/3 of a nutmeg. Bought a utensil to help me with this. So what's that going to look like? That is a 1/2 teaspoon, I think. Let's go with 1/2 teaspoon. That seems a good choice. Now, the vanilla drops are much more tricky. I'm going to do the same approach. It's a bit of guesswork really in terms of how much of this to use. I wonder if I put it there and turn. That sort of gives you a... Similarly with the apple essence. Now I think this has got a bit of a pipette thing going on. So hopefully, I should have practiced this perhaps, but live. Let's see how that works. So, about 5 drops of that. We have all of our ingredients loaded. I'm going to move us over there for the next step. I do like my DIY airlock valves and I'm going for them again. I've also purchased 3 new toys. These 3 airlocks, which are a little bit lower, which is handy for these bottles. These are the 3-piece airlock. They also have a fill line. So this is sanitizer fluid I've got in here. The holes in the bottom of these are not in the bottom, they're actually around the sides. So it's a little bit of making sure they're sufficiently pushed through. I've just sanitised the lid without a hole, so I can just give this one a bit of a swirl to try and submerge all of our flavourings. So these are the other 2 pieces to the 3-piece. Unlike some of my previous catastrophes, I'm hoping that this is just a precaution, really. I'm not really expecting any additional fermentation to go on, but they're all ready now to go away for a week, and we will come back and remove the flavours in about 7 days. Here we are a week later, and we are in the next steps. So for number 1, the sweet, I'm now going to add the non-fermentable sugars. So that will go in here. Now, previously I added them to the bottle, so I'm just going to sort of mix it actually sort of here in the my makeshift fermenters, just so that that's evenly distributed across all of the bottles. Now, the interesting one is this. So there's been a number of discussions, and it does seem that one of the things that adds a little bit better mouthfeel or viscosity to a beer, a mead, a sort of wine, or a cider, importantly, is glycerine or glycerol, depending on which country you're in. And I've sort of done some calculations so that 5 millilitres to 25 millilitres per 4.5 litres. That does equate, because these are 1.5 litre bottles, somewhere in the region of 3 to 8 millilitres I'd need to add. So I'm going to go right bang smack in the middle and add 5 millilitres of glycerine to each, which has needed a new addition to my toolkit, which is a pipette that measures that small amount. so to be able to measure 5 millilitres, I needed something other than a children's medicine spoon that would allow me to do that. So that's the plan with that. And then last but not least, I've got my apple pie spiced cider. So it's been sitting there now for a week as we originally planned. So actually what I'm going to do is simply rack it, i.e. to get rid of the cinnamon stick and other additions that were put in, and then there's an opportunity, I think, to give that a little bit of a taste to see what that comes out like. So 3 different missions today to look at. I'm going to start with the first one, the sweetening.